because I know you mean everything to Christ. And Christ means everything to me.
And I called on the Lord. I said, man, that Father, this is real. Will you watch over me? Will you raise them up to be strong? I'm just a man with flesh. This is what you called for in your scriptures. You said they wore studs and fringes, they got it on. You said they will follow the law, they doing it. You said under your house shot, they ought to love one another. And they doing it.
Ironic.
You know the truth is the truth, that's all I know. Cry loud and spare not, you gon' get exposed. A few real niggas left, you not one of those. Real soldiers, we was born to stand 10 toes. If he ain't one West, that nigga not one of mine. He got a purple 12, me, I got a black 9. The truth is the wife of my youth, chopper my concubine. Had to die to get my rib, that bitch forever mine. You know the game, a bishop gotta be blameless. But GMS teaching niggas to be rapists. They screaming we snitch. When Joel Morgan was killed by your brother, y'all ain't say shit. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs. Real prophets only dwell in the UPK, PSA, we don't sign NDAs.
Hey, 100 deep, 100 shields on, that's 100 priests. 100 boots, that's 200 feet. Tongue like a sword when I fucking speak. Teach you how to fish instead of fucking leech. Stop selling drugs instead of trying to fuck with Nietzsche. Knowledgeable but I'm rude in my fucking speech. Life is about warfare, not no fucking peace. Hey bitch, I cry loud when I fucking speak. Make them wait a year before they fuck with me. Turn a street nigga to a fucking priest. Cross a priest and I promise you forever sleep.
Welcome to ISUBK Detroit. Check us out on all social media platforms. Classes are Monday through Saturday. Monday is the history class from 7 to 9 p.m. Tuesday is scripture breakdown. Wednesday is biblical law class. Friday, Lashawan Kodash, Hebrew language. Saturday, the Sabbath service. Check out our community service program. We have food and clothing drives, helping the people in need, and we also have felony expungement services available. Join us and get involved.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. The ISUBK presents the Lord's 56th annual Passover going down right here in Atlanta, Georgia. We got a whole bunch of events lined up for y'all, including the annual lamb slaughter. You already know. Then it's the Hebrew Academy trials. Oh boy. Next we got the children's party. Then you know we got General Muhammad's scripture breakdown class and the Hebrew Academy graduation. The Lord's 56th annual Passover. Pay your Passover fee. It's only $200 to get all these exclusive events. Real black culture. The general's in attendance and the stage is set. It's going down. April the 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. This event is only for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indigenous people. We got a week full of events from April the 9th and the 13th. But remember, you gotta pay that Passover fee. It's only $200 to get every event exclusively. Here's the itinerary for the Lord's 56th annual Passover. April the 9th is the annual lamb slaughter. April the 10th is the kids party. At 7 p.m. later that night, General Muhammad's scripture breakdown class. April the 11th, the Hebrew Academy graduation. Later that night at 8 p.m. is the all-black party. April the 12th is the Lord's 56th annual Passover. April the 13th is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. $200, 17 years or older, pay your Passover fee. See you in Atlanta, Israel. Shalom.
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So you said that they put millions of my taxes. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail? jail when he's dead.
Absolutely.
Should a robber pay back the money he robbed?
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did?
That's right. That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angels, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood, Slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
Someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
Hey, shalom, y'all, Bashem, y'all, Shah, Baraka, thumb to the all Akim, shalom, Yahweh, Shamarla, thumb, Bashem, y'all, Shah to the Akwati. All right, I know typically, well, first of all, I'm also a officer and priest and officer of 5,000 at ISUPK Kazaka Maf. And typically, this would be your Hebrew class, right? Today, Friday. But today, we're gonna be closing out the Feast of Purim, like you. Trying to get my damn Bible app up. All right, so I'm really gonna let you take over this class. I'm just gonna be here helping out for real. You got your mic and everything up. All right, so the Feast of Purim. All right, the moment that so many sisters be asking about in the world, when do y'all big up the women and all of this other stuff? Well, you know, here's a whole day to it. She did what she was supposed to do. She held down her people. She held down her, I believe, cousin, right? And she did the damn thing and was able to save the nation of Israel, you know, and And this right here shows and proves that a woman that knows how to play her role as second to her man, or second to her head, or second to who's over her, and show her femininity and use her femininity, can do great things. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, so you got that already?
Kind of what kind of search. So with
to
that
it.
being said, we're gonna get to the book of Esther. We're gonna start at the first verse of chapter 1. And depending on how fast we moving, we might not get all the verses, but we'll hit all the points definitely. Everything that you need to grasp and hold on to, we'll definitely highlight. We'll give that practical knowledge and understanding, so it doesn't go over your head. But as the Adawan was saying, this is a sister who has a feast after her because of the work she did. So we have to find out, what work did she do? How did she operate in that work? Did she want to usurp authority over a man? Did she want to make her own rules? Or did she fall in line and get noted and recognized for falling in line? So we're going to start with chapter 1, verse 1. And it reads, "Now it came to pass in the days of Osiris," this is Osiris, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 170 and 20 provinces.
So when you read that, you can pretty much, if you know anything about geographics, you can see or hear that he owned or ran or was over or had or ruled a large lump sum of the earth. You know, now a nice lump sum of the earth. He had a vast kingdom. It said he ruled from India to what? From what to India?
India, even unto Ethiopia.
Even unto Ethiopia, right? And how many provinces?
107 and 20 provinces.
All right. Okay. A province, it says the whole of a country outside the capital, especially when regarded as lacking in sophistication or culture. So a whole of a country, and it was 127,
7 and 20,
107 and 20 provinces. So he owned a large lump sum of the earth. So this was a king or a ruler that would be known all over the earth. Go ahead.
Kind. Verse 2, that in those days when the king Osiris sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace. Verse 3, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes and the provinces being before him.
Break it down, go do your thing.
So pretty much what that's just talking about is, in the 3rd year of his reign, he wanted to throw a feast. And this is him gathering a certain amount of people. And it seems like to be a lot, because it said the princes and the servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes and the provinces being before him. So that's even those lands and the provinces that he owned or was over, the rulers in those too. Y'all coming too. So imagine America, for instance, and we're over, and this is hypothetically just for example, we're over Mexico, we're over Canada, we're over Cuba, we're over Haiti and all of those. We're throwing a party and saying, hey, the president of Cuba and all y'all coming to this party. All right, verse 4. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days. So he just showing off. He's stunting for all of those who like to stunt. Even 104 days. Well, 4 scores 80.
4 score, I believe. So let me see. I'll look it up for you.
We're gonna find out exactly what 4 is. It might be 180 days or 140 days. We're gonna find out just so you can get a good understanding of
80.
Yep. So it's 180 days. Verse 5. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan. So it's almost like the closing. Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. So now you have another 7-day feast. And it said all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both great and small. So it didn't even matter your stature. You possibly could have been a bum on the street and got invited. Like everybody come.
Yep, that would be those who ruled and those who ruled under the rulers, and then the servants as well.
Kind of what kind.
Go ahead.
Verse 6, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords and of linen and of purple, to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon the pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
So you can skip down a little bit. So this, it just giving you how fancy it was.
Right.
You know how marvelous he tried to make it all seem. You know, when you're about to have an event, you know, you want to wow everybody and look debonair and amazing and make everybody amazed by the sight of your decor.
Right.
You know
so
what I mean?
when people throw those little cabarets, or they throw their birthday parties, or they wedding receptions, you know, you have a certain decor. The table is set up. You might have some hangings and such and such. So we're gonna skip down to verse 9. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. So pretty much what this is talking about was during that same period of time, Vashti, which was his queen, she made her own party. She was doing her own thing. And just from right there, you can kind of see that that's out of order.
Right.
That's not one of them things that you would expect of your rib.
Right.
You know, you expect your rib to be right on your right hand side, you know, right with you in your event, supporting you in your event.
But why was she so out of order in this case? To where she just all she did was, you know, go have her own little event. He having an event, she having an event. Why was she out of order?
Because he required all to be there.
He required what?
All to be there.
Both what?
Both it said great and even small. So like
and she's the queen. So the queen would be considered what?
Great.
Both great and small. And she's the queen. She's his woman. You know what I'm saying? And then it is going to further tell you why he was so insulted by this. Go ahead.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, and he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, and Habona, Bigtha, and Abigtha, Zathar, and
verse you on up?
Verse 10.
Okay, so these are all the men that's up on. You can skip down. These are all the men that's up under him. You know, like you have the king, and then you have those princes and rulers who rule like subdivisions of his kingdom. You know what I'm saying? He called them, and he what was they called? Chamberlains. He called chamberlains. You know what I'm saying? He gave them an order. Go ahead.
Khan, verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. So for the most part, he wanted these 7 chamberlains to go get his rib so he can almost show her off. You know, this could be just because of something deviant, or it could just be simply because he was proud of her. You know, you have what people would call a trophy wife or something like that. He just wanted to show off his rib.
There you go. That's the one. That's what it was. And it says at the end of the verse, it says,
for she was fair to look upon, which means she was nice to look at.
Right.
You ever seen a woman you just enjoy looking at her? She was one of them. And that's why he wanted to show her off. Like he said, he used a perfect term. He said trophy wife. And he wanted to basically put her on display in front of everybody. He's showing everything great he had during these parties. Of course, the woman that you have, if she's beautiful, she's something great to see. It makes men envious, almost jealous, or wishful, wishing they had what you had. It boosts a man's status to see the women that he have when they're beautiful women. Go ahead.
What kind? Verse 12, but the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore, the king was very wroth, and his anger burned in them. So essentially, she said no, and the king was pissed. And I wouldn't say he could blame it on the alcohol, because I'm pretty sure the average man would have kind of been upset as well in that stature or position when you give your wife an order, your rib an order, and you're being king of all you survey almost, and you say, hey, go get my rib, and she say, no, I ain't coming.
Yeah. And it's a natural thing of a man, any man. You tell your woman to come to an event and come be here and bring the crown, and she denies your command. She denies it. She say no. But everybody else in this kingdom see you as something great. But the woman that's your wife see you as somebody to be ignored. That would piss any man off, because what did it do to him?
It embarrassed him for the most part.
Perfect word. That's what it did. It embarrassed him. And she did it through word of mouth. It's not like she told him no in secret. He sent some people to go get her. She told them no, tell him no, to make him look small amongst his peers. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king mannered towards all that knew law and judgment. Verse 14. And that the next unto him was Karshina, Shathar, Amatha, Mimikin, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat at the first, Salakia, which sat first in the kingdom. So pretty much you got people observing this act. They seeing how he looks in this situation. He's seeing his anger, his frustration. So now it's almost like, if you can imagine when, and Lord forbid this never happened or y'all wasn't in this situation, but let's say your parents chastised you in front of your friends and you being embarrassed or wanted to show face, you did something stupid and maybe talked back, or you maybe did something. But in a man's mind, when he got all his homies watching and his rib just embarrassed him, he might do a little extra than he would have did if it was one-on-one, like my Adawan was just saying. It's not like she came to him one-on-one and said, nah, I'm not going to do that, why. She did it in front of everybody. Yeah, go tell him no. Okay. There was no explanation.
Okay. So perfect scenario, perfect example, right? The only thing I would do with that is switch it around. It wouldn't be the child getting disciplined in front of his friends. It would be the parents being embarrassed by the child. Okay, so the king being the parent in the scenario, and he tells the child to do something, and the child said, "No." He's like, "Hey, go tell my son to come here." And when you say, "Hey, your father said come here," he's like, "No, tell him I said no." You're gonna be looking like, "What the?" And then as the man over you, you're gonna be looking, when you see me sitting here with and it shows in my countenance how pissed off I am. The men up under me would be like, okay, so what we need to do, we need to give him some push-ups or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's according to the Israelite culture or something. But all in all, this is on a much larger scale. You have a king telling his queen to do something, and his chamberlains were sent to tell him, and she says no. You know what I mean? And now he's sitting there with a twisted up countenance, and the people that's under him that reveres him are bothered by it. They see that something needs to be done. But perfect example, though. That was just the smallest switch.
Verse 15. shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law, because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. So now they're just trying to figure out. You might say it was a small gathering, a small council was like, what we gonna do about this situation? Because she didn't obey the law. Verse 16, and Membican answered before the king and the princes Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes and all the people that are in the provinces of the king of Ahasuerus. So now you understand that she didn't just quote unquote offend or do wrong to just the king. It was more offenses that came along with that act. Everybody that was in that surrounding and all the province at that gathering was offended.
But why? Why? You know?
Can we get it on in the next verse?
No, I'm asking you. I don't read ahead.
Oh,
that brother read ahead.
No, the verse kind of explains it, and I wanted to go into it.
Explain it. Go ahead. I'll let you go. I was trying to catch you if I wanted to see if you knew before you read ahead, but no.
I watched the class.
Okay, all right then. That's what I'm talking about.
So, as you're going to see,
break it down.
Verse 17, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto the women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. So now imagine, so not only did it offend the princes and all that was there, now imagine she just been an example for all the women of their country to be disobedient.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can say, now they in their head they're thinking, well, Vashti said no, I could say no. I could tell my husband no. Mm-hmm. I don't have to listen to my husband, because even the king's queen, or the king's queen wife, Salakia, didn't listen to her.
Yeah. And so the beautiful thing about all this is you getting to see an example of all the wrong types of things, and you getting to see the wrong image of women, the wrongdoings of women, before you get to the beauty of a woman, right?
That's that practical knowledge right there.
There you go. And then on top of that, you got her influencing all the women that want to be like her. She's a queen. What does that mean? She has status.
Right.
Even in today's time, you see women of status teaching the women who look up to them to all the wrong things, to be whores, or to hate their men, or to treat their men with disrespect. You know what I mean? Like, you look at the rappers, Lotto, Sexy Red, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown. I know I took it back with that one, but I gave you some old school and some new school. You know what I mean? You look at I forgot her name because I never really knew her before the situation. She said that a straight man is a red flag.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They push everything ignorant on our women, and then they soak it in. Right. Everything ignorant is pushed on women, and they soak it in. You know what I'm saying? This is right here is no different. You got a woman of status that just openly disobeyed her husband, where it's going to be spread throughout the kingdom. And guess what? This is going to cause all men to have problems. So they all offended, because now our wives going to want to act like that.
Right.
We have to do something. That's what's going on. So
no sweat out of wine. And just to piggyback off of Brock Yah's point, I can imagine social media in today's society being a heavy influence on this particular situation, because that's where it's seen most of the time, the disrespect of men, that I'm just going to say that thought life, you know, everybody wants, all the women wants to be a boss, the head, and so forth and so on. But at the end of the day, that's out of order. And we're going to see what happens in situations like these. Verse 18, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. So pretty much you're going to have the ladies piggybacking off of that same energy that Vashti the queen gave. And that's going to arise contempt, much contempt and wrath.
Yep.
Verse 9.
You got it. Go ahead.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and of the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. So pretty much, one of my favorite songs is that
Get It Sexy.
No, that Bread and Butter by Beanie Siegel, where
okay.
line in that he said, like Nito Brown, I'll cancel that and buy another one.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is that energy.
Yeah.
You know, you disrespected the king or you disrespect me, it's no sweat. I'll get another one.
Yeah.
And everything that I was giving you, that's done. Everything that you had is gone. Your position in power, that's a wrap.
Yeah. Some of y'all women forget the power of your man. Some of y'all, sometimes women start to feel a little bit more powerful than they are when they get status. And it's not just women, men do it too. But a lot of times women forget to be a wife to their husbands. They forget they have to please their husbands. They forget to follow their husbands. And sometimes that status will do it to them. And here you have it where she did this and now she's about to be replaced. It wasn't no chance for apologies. She did something. When you a woman of status, of what's supposed to be held to a high standard, and you got all eyes on you, you need to perform with perfection. And here she performed with absolute disgust. Horribly she performed. All right. And now it's time to replace her, like you said. All right, it's time to get rid of her. And guess what? This the king. They're gonna be flooding the gates to get with him, to get that status. It's always an envious woman of you. And you can make it easy, you can make it hard on them. Go ahead. We're gonna skip over to 2.
This is Esther chapter 2 and verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. So essentially, after he calmed down, after he felt justice, or what was the punishment was good, he was okay, he was cool, and he remembered the decree against her. Verse 2, then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king. So now they're like, let's replace her.
Yeah,
let's go find some good looking virgins to replace Vashti.
What is virgins for those who don't know what it means in the Bible?
A woman of marriageable age.
What is a virgin?
A woman of marriageable age.
So what essentially are they saying in that verse?
Let's go find you a rib.
No.
A good looking rib.
No. I mean, yeah, but tell them exactly what it's saying in translation. Let there be fair young virgins, give them the definition of virgin, sought for the king.
So let there be fair young women of marriageable age sought for the king.
There you go. That's what they're saying. That's it in lamest terms. Don't think virgin of women who's never been with a man, which I'm quite sure they haven't, but it's not what you mean. You know what I'm saying? That's a lesson within the lesson. Go ahead. So you understand what the Bible is saying completely. Go ahead.
Kind of verse 3, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of the hedge, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things, and let their things for purification be given unto them. So essentially just saying, hey, we're going to appoint officers or appoint certain people to go scout, and find all the women, and then fair women, and bring them to the palace, and then give them to the keeper of these women. So now he can give them the things of purification so they can be cleaned up, smelling good, get their hair did, maybe change the clothes, whatever is needed, put on some jewelry, whatever is needed. So it wasn't like these 7 men, the chamberlains, was going out and looking around. Nah, they sent out an order. all the officers in these provinces, and they found them and brought them to him. Verse 4, and let the maiden which pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. So now that was the goal, which we told you a little bit ago. The goal was to replace Vashti. She got out of line. Let's replace her.
And what's crazy is the king was ready to get rid of this girl.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, they talk about how she was beautiful or she was good looking. He was ready to get her the hell on and find something else. He was ready. That's what a bad attitude to do. She just, no, I ain't doing it. No, tell him I said no. She just so high and mighty with her nose in the air. Now she getting replaced, and he's happy to get rid of her. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite. Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah.
We could drop down to 7.
Verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for her own daughter.
Took for his own daughter.
Kind.
Yeah, so when her parents passed away and she was just an orphan, her cousin took her in. Her older cousin took her in as his own daughter. He didn't take her in and start hitting on her. He didn't take her in and what they be calling it when you trying to raise them up for yourself. I forgot. Grooming. He ain't groom her for himself. He raised her up as his own daughter. Go ahead.
Verse 8. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. So essentially they heard the news, and then Esther went along. Esther went with the other fair and beautiful maidens, but we gonna see the difference. Verse 9, the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of the king, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her Salakia. Got somebody at the door. Out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best palace, Salakia, best place of the house of women's. So essentially, this particular individual was referred to be in the best place in that palace where all the women was. She just wasn't amongst all the women. And in my head, to be honest, that show, The Bachelor. Mm-hmm. That's what this reminds me of. I'm pretty sure they got this from The Bachelor. You
think they got this from The Bachelor?
I mean, The Bachelor got this
from the Bible,
right?
Okay, let's make it make sense. That's all.
Right. So, and this just shows you that a person doesn't do anything on their own. They take everything for us. They took this story and said we're gonna make a TV show out of it. Now they got The Bachelorette, but essentially this is The Bachelor. They're gonna get all of these virgins and they're gonna almost compete for the king's attention for the most part.
And she was a shoe-in. She was already getting everything better than everybody else. Like, you want to take a class, sir? All right. But she was already a shoe-in. Didn't it say she got the better things, the 7, and she got housed somewhere else? She was already a shoe-in. She was already what you call a fan favorite. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed the people nor her kindred.
Show her people.
Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. Verse 11, and Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. So essentially, he hung around. He gathered information. You know, he had his ear to the streets to find out step by step or bit by bit what was going on with his cousin Esther.
Drop down to 15. So they go through the little competition. You know, I think it was about 12 months or something like that. And all these other women is going up and failing miserably. You know, wasting their time because something that's very different and special is coming up behind them. So, you know, they did all that they could, but it failed. So you go down to 15.
Verse 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abiel, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the house unto the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So essentially, she didn't need nothing extra. She took what she had already. And that's to me is an important thing to understand, because when you got it, you got it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to fake it if you got it.
Right.
And a lot of y'all out here faking it, and it doesn't go well. Right. You know, a brother could get a certain opinion of you because they see that you're faking it. Obviously, you're trying too hard.
And you know, you tell a woman, you know, come in, we need you to impress this man. What does she go throw on? What type of clothes does she go throw on? The tightest thing, the most revealing thing. She gotta add lashes, she gotta add this, she gotta add that. And she required nothing but what they had gave her. You know what I'm saying? She didn't have to go do nothing extra. And that speaks volumes of, and she won. So it speaks volumes of the beauty of this sister. Go ahead.
Kind. Verse 16. So Esther was taken into King Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month, which in the 10th Salakia, which in the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign.
Yeah, we can skip down past that part. What verse is that? 16. Go to 18.
Verse 18. Then
you know what? You go straight to 16. Go to 16.
Kind.
You did, 17. So you could just keep going.
Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
And king loved Esther or what?
Above all the women.
Some of the women.
All the women.
Most of the women.
All the women.
A few of the women.
All the women.
He loved her above what?
All the women.
All the women. Go ahead.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins.
Which means he favored her, and he had great patience with her. Great patience. She obtained grace with him, which means he had patience with that sister. It's almost saying like you could do no wrong, almost. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Vashti has been replaced. Keep going.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast, and he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
Yeah, we said it yesterday. He was so happy he started giving other people's gifts. Usually when you get a new wife, people bring y'all gifts. He started giving out gifts. All right, go ahead.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, the Mordecai sat in the king's gate. 20. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her, for Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say, so essentially, she was obedient. So essentially, she followed orders. essentially it wasn't, well, I got this position now I'm going to show off. Now I'm going to change and feel that I'm over Mordecai himself. When he raised her, which was the point, to the point, like as when she was brought up with him.
Right. So status didn't change her. When status changed, most people, period, not just women, but status changed men and women. Status will change a child. Your kid get in school and all of a sudden everybody looking at him like he big man on campus or looking at her like she's something amazing. It changes their whole attitude. They get puffed up, the big head or whatever you want to call it. But she stayed humble. She stayed with her trainings and teachings and knew who to listen to and who to follow. She still trusted in her cousin who raised her up. You know what I'm saying? She didn't let status change her for the worse or let it make her forget her people. A lot of us fall short on that. You look at the hood, it's full of people that got status and then forgot everything that was before they had status.
That's right.
Keep going.
Verse 21, in those days while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hands on the king Osiris. Verse.
You want to break that down?
Kind. So you got two people. When wrought means they were upset, they felt some type of way, they was in their feelings, they was angry, they was mad, and it said, and sought to lay hand on the king Osiris. So now they felt some type of way about the king. Now that's dissension in the ranks. Imagine that.
Yeah, they watching the gates. And here you got Mordecai hanging out at the gates. And they got to be talking about it because he done peeped it. Mordecai done peeped the fact that they plan on putting their hands on the king. They want to do something physical to him. You know what I'm saying? They talk about it and whispering to each other, and Mordecai done peeped it out. That's how you tell a story right there.
Kind of what kind.
All right, just as long as you know.
Kind of what kind.
All right.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those, Salaki, I just read that, verse 22. And the king was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther, the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof.
Wait. Start 22 over.
And the thing.
There you go. I thought you said king at first. Did you? I'm tripping.
So.
Salaki, that's my fault.
And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther, the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. Mm-hmm. So pretty much that word got around.
No, he sent word to her and she went and told. He heard it, he let her know, and she went and told the king. What happens when you find out somebody plotting on you and the person that come and tell you that somebody's plotting on you? What do you start to feel for that person who came and gave you that warning? I'm plotting on you, right? I'm finna do something to you. And he come tell you like, hey, man, Kazak about to do something to you, man. You might want to be careful. How are you going to feel towards him at that point? No, towards him. Towards the person that warned you so you don't get hurt. You feel what? The brother said he feels thankful. You feel thankful. It makes you even closer to a person you was already close to because now you feel like you could trust them. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to keep that in mind as well. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on the tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Yeah, they got him out of there. That's pretty much it. They found out what they was doing. It came out that it was true. And they got him up out of there. You can't threaten the king or the man in charge and think you're going to live afterwards. They got him up out of there. Go ahead. 3.
This is Esther chapter 3 and verse 1.
We're going to skip through a little bit. I'm going to read ahead. So break them down.
Kind. Esther chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Osiris promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that was with him. So essentially, a rank raise was gave. Essentially, somebody gained a position because of all of these things that happened. Some people got hanged, some people got moved around. So now this particular brother gained a position. Verse 2, and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. So essentially, he didn't bow to this man that just got this new position. He didn't bow to Haman, or he reverenced him at all. So it's almost like, oh, they take a knee and might say some words, you know, all hail chief, whatever. But at the end of the day, Mordecai, he didn't go for that. Verse 3, then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandments? So they asking him, hey, why you don't obey the king's commandments? Why are you breaking the king's commandments? Verse 4, now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. So essentially, he's like, I'm a Jew. We don't do that. We're not bowing to this guy. We're not reverencing this guy. We only give our reverence to the Most High. And this was one of the things that these gentlemen, or whoever they were coming to him daily about. So it might have been for a week straight, a month straight. And he's like, nope, all hell Hitler. Nope, we ain't doing that. Verse 5, and when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did reverence him, then was Haman full of wrath. So now Haman witnessed it himself. They went and told him. Now he seen it himself. Now he pissed off. He in his feelings right now.
Yeah. So
Which y'all call salty.
Yeah, jump over to 7 and 1. So just to catch y'all up, we're gonna skip forward to 7 and 1. You got Haman, who's the king's right-hand man, who's in the king's ear, and he's trying to use his favor and his status against other people. He gathered people together, including his wife, and tell them how he was the only one allowed in Esther's banquet, and how the king had promoted him above all the princes, and all. He's getting the king ear so that he can destroy all of the Israelites, because one man decided not to stand nor bow to him. You know what I'm saying? So now he wants to destroy everybody, not knowing that the whole time. Well, I can't even say not knowing that these are Esther's people. He think his status can change, because now that his status has changed, he think he has enough status and power to destroy a people, no matter who he's going against, as long as it ain't the king. He's puffed up. Go ahead.
This is Esther chapter 7 and verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther, the queen. Verse 2. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, that is thy petition. What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. So pretty much they're asking her, what do you want?
Yeah.
Verse 3, then Esther and the queen.
Half of this is yours. You got half of everything I got. That brother, that man was in love.
Right.
He said, well, half of this kingdom is yours. What else you need?
Right.
He gonna give it all up for it. Go ahead.
Verse 3, then Esther the queen answered and said,
Hey, Salaki, lock that door.
if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. So she's pretty much pleading and requesting for her life and her people's life because of what Haman had sought out to do. That's the big thing. She didn't just turn her back on her people as so many people do when they get a certain status. After they get $1 million or $1 billion, now they want to really hold hands with the oppressor, and then they look at their people like they nothing. That sister had respect for her own people. She had love for her own people. Verse 4, for what we are sold and my people, so like I am my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish.
Now, let me stop you right there. Imagine a man's reaction that's deeply in love with a woman, admires the hell out of this woman. She's beautiful to him. She's courteous to him. He's proud of her, and he just whipped. All right, what Babyface say? That whip appeal? And she had that whip appeal. And then she comes to you and say somebody's trying to destroy her and her people. You know what I'm saying? But he's the man who rules over countries, multiple countries, from India to what? Africa? India to Ethiopia? Same thing. India, Ethiopia is Africa. You know what I'm saying? He ruled a large chunk of the earth, and then here his wife is afraid of somebody trying to destroy her and her people. He's going to jump up to protect her in a rage. All right, go ahead.
But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not contravail the king's damage.
I thought you was going to break it down. My bad. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther, the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so?
Now he want to know who this man. Oh, you go ahead. I thought you was going to pass by again. I couldn't allow it.
Went together.
Yeah, I got you. It's your class. I'm just here.
Sir. So essentially, she set it up, the situation, and made it, even though it's true, she made it sound a particular way that'll pull at this man's heartstring. And now he's like, hey, who's talking greasy like that?
Yeah.
Who's big enough to come at you and your people, and I don't even know about it for real?
Right. He just looking to impress her. He was a part of the plan. He granted the money to go put on their head. But little did he know these people is his wife's people.
Right.
She's upset by this. She's upset by this. You know what I'm saying? So now he got to correct it, and somebody's got to pay the price. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. So now Haman is
finish cleaning that,
greasy or feeling some type of way. And guess what? He's scared now.
Did you jump ahead?
No, on verse 6.
Go ahead.
He said he was afraid.
Okay, you right. You got it. Go on.
So Haman is essentially scared now, because he just got called out in front of the king. And it's just like, well, my plan ain't working. It ain't go as I thought. Verse.
Yeah. Well, he realized his status wasn't so great. So he thought, because in one part of this passage, if you read back, you will see where he went to her and he was so pompous that he thought he can talk some BS to her. And here he is in front of the king, and he see that the king is in favor to her. He want to know, who is this man that's threatening you and your people? And she said, why he's standing there in front of her husband, like, it's him, Haman. And Haman, now he's afraid because he see that she has the king's ear. He see that she has the king's heart, and he can't have that same influence over the king. So now he's afraid and nervous because he realizing all that little money that the king gave you to put on these people's head, all that stuff about, oh, you can go ahead and pay the people the take on the job to destroy the whole nation of Israel. All that went right out the window. The moment his woman came to him and was afraid, all that planning they did, he forgot all about all of that. Why? Because this is his wife. She's been pleasant to him. He's been proud of her. She's not like what was the other one named Vashti?
Mhm.
She's not like Vashti, who was rude, smart mouth, had a whole lot to say. She was real. She was a woman, and everything that she did, she was feminine, and everything that she did, the way she spoke and carried herself. So she controlled this man just by being that, a woman. You know what I'm saying? So this other brother couldn't compare, and now his life is on the line because he made the mistake of thinking he can go up against her. Go ahead.
Verse 7, and the king arising from the banquet of wine, and his wrath went to the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther, the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. So pretty much now, Haman is going to Esther for his life. He was talking greasy before. He felt real good before, but now he's going to this woman for his life because he didn't heard that there was evil talk against his life, and it was determined. So we know what that means, and he sees what has happened before. It's not like he wasn't a part of it or privy to it. He knows how people who betray, or he knows the extent of his king's wrath for the most part.
Go ahead.
Verse 8.
This is like my favorite part right here.
Verse 8.
Yeah.
Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther.
You all right? Yeah, that was a crazy dramatic switch up, wasn't it? When he left, Haman was standing there. But when he came back, this nigga's on his bed with his woman.
Bro.
He already pissed. He already about to take his head off. He come back and now you on the bed with her?
Bro.
She was already there. You was over there.
Right.
I walk out, come back in. This nigga's on the bed. Oh, nigga, what? That's what my fact, because it just came out of nowhere. The verse before this 7 don't say nothing about him falling on the bed. It just said he walked over there and was trying to plead with her. But when the king came back, he's on the bed. Go ahead.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Hey, what was that movie? He was like, you just gonna take it, wouldn't you? Was just gonna take it. What was that? Friday After Next with Cat Williams and
Damon.
Yeah, when they was coming out, they was just gonna take it, wouldn't you? That's the way the king they're like, dang, you just gonna force her to give you some too, right here in front of me, huh? You just don't care, huh?
In my house, though.
In my house, in my bed, with my wife. Go ahead.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. So imagine he just got snatched up.
Yeah.
Hey, get him.
Yeah. Whoever seen the movie Head of State?
Head of State. I was about to say that.
When it was like security and they'll put a bag over her head and just snatch her out the room. That's what happened to Haman. Just as the king's words came out of his mouth, they snatched that nigga right out the room. Abducted him. Put a bag over his head and snatched him right out the room. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai.
Go ahead, drop down to 10. We out of time.
Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Yeah, so now he was cool with what just happened.
Yeah.
It said, then was the king's wrath pacified.
Yeah.
He wanted it back in blood.
Yeah. Imagine your baby going crazy in the house, screaming and crying, then you put a pacifier in his mouth and he just calm right down. I don't know, he just calmed right down. That's what happened with the king. He was in pure rage, but once he seen that brother hanging, and we not advocate no violence against nobody, we just reading the Bible. But once he seen that, his anger was pacified. The verse before that, they wanted him to hang so good, they got the exact measurements of every little piece of the podium to hang him with. Made sure it was perfect, and then they hang that nigga after they made sure it was perfect, right? And with that being said, and that's how a sister came along by listening to the man over her and loving her people and being feminine, saved all of her people. She didn't have to be masculine. She didn't have to run up on no man trying to fight him, talking crazy to him, nothing. She just had to be a woman who was beautiful and listening to a man who had a plan that had raised her up. That's all it took. And she saved the kingdom. Therefore, she got a book in the Bible to tell the story. You understand? With that being said, I'm Kazak. I'm officer of 5,000 of the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter. This is my co-teacher.
Officer of 1,000 guitar.
That boy 1,000. Give him a hand. But and that right there was the closing of the Feast of Purim. It's like y'all. Hey y'all.